Right, so something genuinely weird happened this week. And I mean weird in the best possible way. We've been watching AI tooling evolve for years now, and suddenly this week felt like a threshold moment. Not because of some massive model launch or billion-dollar funding round, but because of what people are actually building and using.
I've been tracking this. The pattern that emerged this week is quite striking. We're seeing the shift from AI as capability to AI as infrastructure. The bottleneck moved.
Okay, so let's start with the one that made me sit up and actually pay attention. There's this piece about AI cutting incident response from 30 minutes to under 1 minute. And I know that sounds like typical tech hype, but this one's different. Luma, you've been following this closely. What's actually happening here?
Right, so this is topology-aware AI agents for observability. What makes it interesting is the approach. Traditional incident response is essentially a pattern matching problem wrapped in urgency. Engineer gets paged, manually correlates logs, metrics, service dependencies, all while under pressure. Takes 20 to 30 minutes on average.
I've lived that nightmare. 3 a.m, customers screaming, and you're grepping through logs trying to figure out which microservice decided to have a bad day.
Exactly. But here's what's different. These AI agents aren't just reading logs. They understand your system topology. They know which services talk to which other services. They know your infrastructure layers. And critically, they remember patterns from past incidents. So when something breaks, the agent doesn't start from scratch.
So it's like having that one senior engineer who's seen everything before and just knows where to look?
Precisely, and they're achieving 52% correlation accuracy, which might not sound impressive until you realize that's better than most junior engineers under pressure. The system's identifying root causes in under a minute.
That's the bit that actually matters, because when you're down, every minute is revenue loss, customer trust loss, team morale loss. If you can cut that investigation time by 95%, that's not incremental improvement, that's transformative.
Right, and this is the kind of AI work that nobody's talking about at dinner parties, but if you're running systems at any real scale, this is where AI actually earns its keep. It's not flashy, but it's consequential.
What fascinates me is that this represents a broader pattern. We're moving from AI that augments human decision-making to AI that operates infrastructure. The interface is changing.
Which brings us to the big one. Cursor just published data showing that cloud agents have officially overtaken tab autocomplete as their primary use case. And honestly, when I first read that, I had to stop and think about what that actually means. Richard, you work with developers every day. Is this as significant as it sounds?
It's massive. Tab autocomplete has been the killer feature for 2 years. You type, it suggests you accept or reject. That's been the entire AI coding experience for most developers. And now it's not. That's a threshold.
The data backs this up. Cloud agents, where you give the model a full computer environment, it runs your code, tests it, records a video of what happened. That's become the default interaction model. And this week, OpenAI dropped GPT 5.4 with full desktop visibility. The model can see your entire development environment now.
Wait, so instead of reviewing a massive code diff, you're just watching a 22-second video of what the AI built and seeing if it looks right?
Exactly. It writes the code, starts your dev server, runs the tests, records a video of the whole thing working and hands it back. The feedback loop completely changes. You're not reading code anymore, you're watching an artifact. You can see what it actually does.
That's genuinely different, because most bugs aren't about syntax errors anymore, they're about behavior. Does this button do what I expect? Does this form validation feel right? You can't answer that from reading code, you need to see it.
Okay, but here's the one that really got under my skin. There's this developer, Christopher Nordstrom, who gave his AI access to 9 years of his digital life. Gmail, Calendar, Slack, GitHub, handwritten notes, ChatGPT conversations. All indexed locally, all encrypted, all under his control. And now when he talks to Claude, it knows him. It remembers context from months ago. Luma, you wrote about this. What stood out to you?
What stood out was how he described the change. He said the best improvement was subtler than speed. He stopped losing things. Ideas he captured 6 weeks ago are findable. Emails about technical approaches surface when he needs them. That's memory. Real memory. Not a note-taking app pretending.
I've had 3 conversations this week with clients asking about exactly this. How do I make my AI remember things? How do I stop repeating myself? Everyone's hitting the same wall. The model's smart, but it starts from 0 every time.
And he didn't build some complicated enterprise system, right? This was local embeddings, hybrid search, 2-stage retrieval. It's technically sophisticated but conceptually simple.
That's the pattern I'm seeing everywhere. The bottleneck shifted. It's not model quality anymore. Models are good enough. What matters now is infrastructure. Cloud agents need to understand your code base. They need to know how to start your backend, what your testing quirks are, where the weird edge cases hide. They need memory.
And that's not a model problem. That's an integration problem. That's infrastructure.
So Cursor's shipping features to handle this, sub-agents where little specialized agents handle specific tasks. Best of N model comparison, where you run 5 models in parallel, watch 5 different 22-second videos, pick which one to iterate on, and they've got something called grind mode, where agents work for hours toward a goal, checking in with you, planning ahead.
They're learning what works and what doesn't in real time. They shipped something, users broke it, they fixed it, they shipped again. That's your window to see how this category evolves. And the usage data is showing clear preferences. Parallel agents with memory are winning.
Right, but here's the thing that's keeping me up at night. One person running 10 parallel agents, each agent working independently. That's the inference load of a 10-person team. If everyone adopts this setup, and early evidence suggests they will, the token consumption per developer becomes absolutely staggering.
Okay, so is that sustainable? Like, are we heading towards some kind of infrastructure crisis?
The economics suggest otherwise. If one person can do the work of 10 and the tool costs a few $100s a month, that's not expensive. That's leverage. The question isn't whether this is sustainable, it's whether you can afford not to use it.
That's the bit that's genuinely uncomfortable, because we're not talking about productivity gains anymore. We're talking about forced multiplication, and the gap between teams using this well and teams not using it at all is going to be brutal.
Right. And we haven't even talked about the robotics piece yet. There's an interview with Kevin Peterson from Bedrock Robotics about what self-driving research taught them about autonomous bulldozers. And I love this one because it's so practical. Luma, what's the connection here?
The connection is constraints. Self-driving cars and autonomous construction equipment share more similarities than differences. Both operate in unstructured environments where you can't predict everything. Both need real-time decision-making with incomplete information. Both deal with safety-critical scenarios.
And both need to work in the real world, not a simulation. That's the gap that kills most robotics projects. Works perfectly in testing, falls apart on site.
Exactly. What Peterson's team learned from self-driving is how to handle edge cases, how to validate safety systems, how to build simulation environments that actually match reality. They're applying all of that to construction equipment. And the reason this matters now is labor shortages, actual, measurable labor shortages in construction.
So robotics is advancing not because it's cool, but because industries genuinely need it. That's a fundamentally different conversation from the typical robot replacement anxiety.
That's what I keep trying to tell people. This isn't about replacing workers. This is about solving a problem that's staring us in the face. We don't have enough people to do this work, so either we figure out automation or the work doesn't get done.
And the technical lessons from self-driving are proving transferable. Sensor fusion, path planning, obstacle detection. These are solved problems now. The innovation is in application, not fundamental research.
Okay, last one, and this is the weird one. Quantum computing security. CLSQ is building security mechanisms for quantum computers before they become powerful enough to break current encryption. Richard, why does this matter right now?
Because by the time quantum computers are dangerous, it'll be too late to protect them. You need security built in from the start, not bolted on after someone's already exploited the vulnerability.
It's defensive thinking, unsexy but essential. Quantum computers, once sufficiently powerful, will break encryption systems protecting everything from financial transactions to government communications. But before that happens, the quantum computers themselves need protection.
So it's like building a burglar alarm for the thing that's going to become the world's best burglar.
Pretty much, and the timeline matters. We're probably years away from quantum computers being truly dangerous to current encryption, but we're building those quantum computers right now. So the security needs to exist before the threat emerges.
This is the kind of work that prevents crises rather than responding to them. Nobody notices when nothing bad happens, but that's exactly the point.
Right, so looking across everything today, what are we actually seeing? AI infrastructure overtaking AI capabilities, developers moving from code completion to running parallel autonomous agents, robotics solving real labor challenges with lessons from self-driving, and quantum security thinking ahead of the threat. None of it's flashy, but all of it's consequential.
The pattern I keep coming back to is this: the bottleneck moved. It's not intelligence anymore, it's integration, memory, infrastructure. The systems that work are the ones that remember context, understand topology, and operate autonomously.
And the gap between teams that get this and teams that don't is widening fast, because we're not talking about incremental improvements anymore. We're talking about order of magnitude differences in what one person can accomplish.
That's the uncomfortable bit, isn't it? Because this isn't some distant future thing. This is happening right now. Cursor's data shows it's already the default. Developers are already running multiple parallel agents. The infrastructure shift already happened.
The next 6 months will show who adapts and who gets left behind, because the playing field just shifted. Again.
So here's my question for everyone watching. Are you using these tools yet? Have you tried running parallel agents? Have you built memory into your AI workflows? Because the evidence this week suggests that's where the use is. Let us know in the comments what you're seeing.
And if you're not sure where to start, that's fine. None of this was obvious 6 months ago, but it's worth paying attention now because the gap's growing.
Right, so that's your digest for today. AI infrastructure overtaking capabilities, developers becoming force multipliers, and security thinking ahead of threats. If you want the full breakdown, everything's in the show notes below. Head to luma.marbl.codes to get the newsletter in your inbox every evening, completely free. And if you're enjoying these conversations, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We're also building Atlas AI Talent, a waitlist for connecting skilled professionals with companies looking for expertise in this space. Links in the description if that's relevant to you. Thanks for listening.